Hello and welcome. I'm excited that I'm doing this collaborative with Chris Lehto. He is a retired F-16. He's been on the show a number of times, and I always enjoy talking to him. We decided to do this collaboration about the recent, or just the other day, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, the hearing that was held. And there are two parts to this. Part one is over on Chris's YouTube channel. That's Lehto Files over on YouTube, and we're going to link each other's shows in the notes in the text, as well as we'll put them down in comments so you can quickly switch over, and possibly we can even do like an end screen type thing that will all you have to do is click at the end of the video. But I suggest you start with Chris's, and we'll flow over to here. We've been doing sort of a chronological order. Without further delay, Chris, welcome.
Hi, welcome. Thanks, Martin. Welcome.
Yeah, this has been fun. Yeah, welcome to both of our channels. Yeah, that's right.
It's fun to do a collab. Yeah, I think it's much better than working alone. I think getting different eyes, different views on the same thing is great. Thanks.
Yeah,
thanks
yeah. And you, I was watching your channel when you were doing this, when it was actually live. Of course, it took forever for them to come on, but you had sound issues, and I tried to do this at the same thing you were doing at about the same time, and I could not get the sound issues worked out. Glad you did. And do you want to just jump right in where we left off?
Let's keep going. Yeah, I thought it was a great discussion. I was enjoying it and learning some stuff. So let me bring it up, and here is the hearings.
And let's explain what this is. We just jumped from that spreadsheet of not spreadsheet, but the chart there of the objects and all that. And this is jumping over to, there you go. Yep. And it's jumping over to this video right here that he's going to go into, which is
I'll just play it here. You'll hear the end. I love this part where he says, "Next slide."
Next slide,
his intro is, okay, we haven't found any evidence of extraterrestrials. Hate to break it to you guys, but there's nothing to see there. And then he goes to this slide and he says,
which is pretty darn interesting.
Yeah. Look at all these, we have all these different shapes. And the big one we talk about more in our actual interview was this stationary to Mach 2. This is really the velocity there. I don't know how you explain that. So we talk about it more on my channel. So go check that out. But I'll just hit play here so you can hear him say next slide and then bring up the Mosul.
Intermittent radar returns. We get intermittent radio returns, and we get intermittent thermal signatures. That's what we're looking for and trying to understand what that is. Next slide. So I'm going to walk you through two cases that we've declassified recently. This first one is an MQ-9 in the Middle East, observing that blow up, which is an apparent spherical object via EO sensors. Those are not IR.
So MQ-9, that's a Reaper. So that's a large drone. They're big enough to carry weapons, and they have that optical eye on them. They can stay up there for many hours at a time, or over 12 hours. So yeah, that's what we used most of the time in Iraq, in the Middle East. I was in Iraq just for one tour back in 2006, and we didn't have that many predators. And I knew right away that was the tool that we needed there, right? If you're going to be in this involved, I don't think we should have been involved in the war. I think war is a bad thing, but I'm there to do a job. And so I think having mass drones overhead is the best way to fight this sort of insurgency, right? And so this is one of those drones, a Reaper, I guess on a mission is what it looks like, and then comes up with this video. So that's what he says in there, MQ-9. And then let's continue.
You want to go ahead and click that and play it.
Here's the video.
You'll see it come through the top of the screen. There it goes. And then the camera will slew to follow it. You'll see it pop in and out of the field of view there. This is essentially all of the data we have associated with this event from some years ago. it is going to be virtually impossible to fully identify that just based off of that video.
Yeah. What did you think of that, Martin?
Well, I think it's quite an extraordinary video for one. And I noticed that there are some places that are blanked out, blurred out, so we can't see, it would be a top secret type of situation. They don't want adversaries to know exactly what the readings are or something like that, possibly. But also, I wonder, and I'm asking you this question because you probably would know, is this an automatic sleuthing that this camera does? And B, do you think that somewhere there is a reading that's blurred out that says the knots that this thing is traveling in?
No to both of those. So I'll turn down the volume here. Remind me to turn it back up. As I play through, you'll see, okay, so they're monitoring, obviously, I don't know, but it looks like this intersection, a lot of times they'll be just where our forces get attacked. They've been bombed all the time at this intersection. So chances are, for some reason, they're looking here, or maybe they got reports that there's an improvised explosive device, and so they're looking in this area, and then I can just tell, should be able to tell by how it moves, right, from when I hit play here, that it's a person slewing it, like at a keyboard. You'll see
okay.
it.
That's what it would be.
Yeah, he slews it. Nothing is tracking this thing, and that's why that's the no to your second question, is there's nothing tracking this, so you couldn't tell the actual speed.
I see. So if it had like an automatic tracking situation, then it would give more data on it.
Yep. So if it locks on, so I'll hit play here. So you see that's a manual slew down, manual slew. You can kind of feel him. And now, and it turns there. You see how it kind of turned. So I could tell that he's slewing towards that thing, and now he sees it, and now he slews faster. So it's definitely human slewed to keep this thing in the frame. Otherwise, it would be right in the center. If it was locked on,
I got it.
It had lock on technology, like a targeting pod will normally lock on. It'll go right in the center, but you still don't know how far away it is.
Yeah. So if you don't know how far away it is, you don't know what the speed is, basically.
Exactly. All you can do, you can just interpolate right between the ground and the plane, because you know how far the plane is, how fast the plane is going, and your sensor, what it's doing, but you don't know how far this thing away is. That's
these drones. When these drones almost appear like they're hovering when they're looking down, what type of speed do they have to stay at to keep airborne?
Yeah, I mean, my knowledge is from, many years ago, I guess, about drones in particular, but they were super slow. I mean, jokingly slow. We made fun of them all the time. And that's another reason, like a Predator, it was flying like less than 100 knots, It's like,
really?
Cessna speeds are, a Predator actually flies.
You have to get over 100 to fly.
It's literally a Cessna engine that is in your single engine Predator. Reaper is a larger aircraft. It probably flies faster.
Yeah.
But your Predator is a Cessna, essentially, and that's why they can stay up forever. They're burning very little gas, but they can't go very fast, so they can't get to places where they weren't that useful for us. We only had a few when I was there, 6 or 7 were airborne at any time, and so they weren't we were much more useful. We were like your quick reaction force to where if guys were getting attacked, we would fly there and try and help them, But Predators, lucky, we're sending the Predator, you're going to be waiting there a long time. You're going to die, essentially.
Oh dear. Wow. So what is your opinion of this video?
I mean, like he said, I have spent so much time on the Go Fast. It reminds me of Go Fast looking at this. The speeds are different. The systems are different. Everything is different. But it's a single source video, right? There's no other data points that we can draw on. And I was unable to prove, even with Go Fast, I was unable to prove that it's not stationary exactly right in between the ground and the aircraft. Stationary.
The Go Fast almost looked like it was just above water level. I mean, but from the angles, but you couldn't really tell. But once they locked on that particular video, don't they have all the data from that?
Unfortunately, no, because the targeting pod, like I'm saying, is just a visual tracker. So it actually has to get the distance from another source. and that's
I
why
see.
it has a laser. It has a laser to do distance ranging.
Hmm.
The problem is that laser burns out your eyes. So yeah,
Yeah.
but no, laser ranging is your primary reference. You know,
Yeah.
and that's unless you have triangulation. Okay, the only way I know to passively find something or track something is to use some sort of triangulation. So you have like our
Right.
eyes. You know, our eyes triangulate, but based off how far apart they are, you can only really triangulate. You only have depth of field out to, I don't know, I'm not going to guess here, but a few hundred meters, I guess, at the end of the day, right? It's based on how far you can get your sensors apart.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you just have, if one of your eyes is out, right, your depth perception is knocked down dramatically. And that's really the situation we're in. Okay. We have no other way to range this thing. We're basically looking at it with one eye. And in a targeting pod, we would use a laser or use the radar. And that's how you get the range.
I don't know if you can back it up just a little bit to where they show the magnification. Because right there. Do you think that's a true magnification of what they're seeing? It looks like it is.
Yeah.
So that would have to be a total spherical, and not like some type of disc because of the angle. With some type of disc or something like that, you would see an odd shape, but you're seeing perfectly round here. So don't you think this is rather extraordinary that whatever that total spherical thing was traveling the way it was?
Well, that's the problem, is because there's no way to prove that it's not just a round balloon halfway between the sensor and the ground.
Oh, there's no way to tell. It seems like it's moving, though. I know you're talking about the speed of the drone, but still, it seems like it's going on for quite a clip if that's real-time filming. Yeah,
but I see what you're saying. So you're saying, is there a way that we can prove? But the thing is, it's confusing because the camera is so good at locking onto the ground, and it's called ground stabilizing.
Yeah.
So right now the camera is ground stabilized to this location. So meaning you will. Normally we hold like 3 to 5 miles around this in a circle, right? So 3 to 5 miles in a circle. But the sensor right now is definitely moving at at least 100 knots, as I would say. So 100 miles an hour at the minimum. So maybe I guess we could look up Reaper. Let me just look it up while I'm just yappering.
Yeah. Meanwhile, could you just play that video a little bit?
Yes, let me play it and I'll look that up.
And yeah, you keep it silenced just so we can watch the. I mean, to me, it seems almost impossible if that's real-time filming for that to be a balloon. I mean, that's moving right along, no matter if it's close to the camera or far from the camera, especially far from the camera, that would be moving right along.
There may be something there, actually. So what I found here, let me show you. So this is your.
That's what it was up. Yes, that's what was flying.
So this is your MQ-9. So this is a bigger Predator B. So it is a Predator, but larger. So maybe they have a turbojet engine, looks like back here, or maybe it's still just a Cessna engine. But this thing's bigger and can carry weapons. So let's look at the speed on this thing. There's only 300 plus.
And because they're stabilized on that target on the ground, or I don't know if you want to call it a target, but because they're stabilized on that, as they're traveling, all you see is that. I mean, it appears like they're almost sitting still, but they're not really sitting still. Because of the stabilization.
Yeah, the Reaper, so it has a jet engine, turboprop, but the original Predator only had a piston. It had basically a Cessna engine. So this thing is flying faster than.
Did they actually say what year this was? I don't think they mentioned that, do they?
I don't think it was mentioned in the hearings, but it was
Right.
Jeremy Corbell said it was from 2015, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I hate to.
And in 2015, would they have a jet engine at that time?
Yeah, they would have had
Okay.
Reapers.
Yeah.
So that tells me, okay, a speed of 220 knots. That was the original.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean that stuff's part of their operational tactics, but it's definitely going faster, I would say, than a normal Cessna. So maybe 150, 200 knots would be my guess.
Mhm.
So,
Mm.
but you bring up a reasonable point, because the good thing about this is it's a longer video, right? All we got from the Mosul orb was just that image.
Right. I think he may be talking over this part of it right here.
Yeah.
You know, basically saying that we're not going to explain this. Maybe we should play that audio.
Okay, let me play it here then, that we've chatted about it.
And then the camera will slew to follow it. You'll see it pop in and out of the field of view there. This is essentially all of the data we have associated with this event from some years ago. It is going to be virtually impossible to fully identify that just based off of that video.
Well, I will look into it, Martin, because that is a relatively long video, and you know the Predator doesn't go like supersonic or something, so
Yeah.
it is only going max. You know, even maybe I can use the max speed of the Predator, say 250 knots, if it can get that fast, and then see if that is still the case, that we can't prove that it's not right in between. The only other issue is that it doesn't seem to be doing any anomalous, crazy moves. You know, because if it's moving any way within the wind, you know, if it's within, you know, it could be, wind can be up to 100 knots up at altitude.
Yeah.
You know, we don't really know how high this Predator is. He says all we have is the video. Actually, they do know. They have all that information. So they should have that. They should have the winds at altitude.
Yeah.
Based
The
off the Predator.
wind direction as well, because that plays
Yeah.
into it. Yeah.
So they have that information from the video, but he says it will still be basically impossible. Yeah, I think you could determine a range of speeds that this thing is at, a range of distances, right? Based off that moving platform.
Yeah.
The video is kind of long enough. So I don't know, kind of interesting. It's too bad it doesn't do some sort of crazy maneuver there, but that's it for that one. Anything else?
No, but I do think that he says that it can't be resolved, and I pretty much agree with him. You know, I mean, how, if this is all the data that you have, just the video alone, yeah, that would be a tough one to solve, not knowing what the distance away from the craft was.
Yeah, if you can't prove it, that's the problem, you know, because at the end of the day, you can just say, well, it's probably a balloon. But I'll check, you know, maybe I can prove that it's going more than 150 miles an hour or something. And then,
Yeah.
it doesn't look like it though. Yeah.
But I mean, it is good that he does say that, you know, this one is basically, we will not know. You know, I mean, instead of saying it's a balloon.
Exactly. That is nice. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. So you want to move on to
we are doing is keeping that as part of that group of 52% to see what are the similarities, what are the trends across all of these? Do we see these in a particular distribution? Do they all behave the same or not? As we get more data, we will be able to go back and look at these in a fuller context. How are we going to get more data? We are working with the Joint Staff to issue guidance to all the services and commands that will then establish what are the reporting requirements, the timeliness, and all of the data that is required to be delivered to us and retained from all of the associated sensors. That historically hasn't been the case, and it's been happenstance that data has been collected.
Okay. What do you think of his data collection explanation when he talks through his processes?
I think it makes sense. You know, I mean, the one part we touched on in the last video that you and I did together, I thought about and wanted to address a little bit. So he said, if it ever shows basically or hints to the possibility of extraterrestrial, we'll pass it along to NASA. And it kind of, is that the is that where it's killed, or do you? I mean, it would be nice if you said pass along to NASA, then we'll decide whether we'll, release it to the public or something like that. That's a question I have. Like, if that was ever found, would we ever know? If it was ever discovered that it was blatantly extraterrestrial somehow, would we ever know? Would we ever be, privy to that information?
Yeah, it seems like his way of looking at it, and probably the right way, is just, can we prove it's mundane? Right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where he ended on that last video, is we won't be able to resolve this.
Yeah.
So I kind of see where when he says it's somebody else's problem, is they're going to try and review it. Okay, this is law enforcement. This is for military. Okay, this is for NASA, because we have no idea. So maybe that's the somebody else's problem that we want, is, okay, now we'll send these, and that'll be the filter process. Is it goes through them, they can't figure it out. Okay, now they'll send it to NASA. So maybe that's what we have to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, and there's also it seems like there's plenty of ways they can kill it.
Yeah,
kill the movement forward to us finding out. And the last in the last show we discussed the Tic Tac. I mean, that, to me, that's the one of the big ones, because they have the data. I think they should have all the data on that. Those bricks went somewhere. Those data bricks went somewhere, and through the government. So I don't know. What do you think that the panel, these people, will have access to all these things? Or do you think somehow, I'm sounding conspiratorial, but do you think somehow some of the evidence would not be able to be accessed? These people they have the high security classification. So, you would think they would be able to get access to anything they want when it comes to this. What do you think about that? You got to unmute. I know you're sneezing.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that they're not going to be able to act. There must be issues. Classification was a hindrance at every level of military operations. It's just such an issue. And the higher you get in classification now is a thing called need to know.
Right.
Because even if you have a top secret clearance, there's no reason for you as an Army grunt to know, how my top secret airplane works in the Air Force. So even though you have that classification capability, right, you're trustable to that level, still they want to minimize all of the information that is out there. So for sure, like she mentioned at the beginning, they've had huge stigma issues. If they've had stigma issues everywhere else, basically getting the money, getting the system set up, getting the people there, essentially, then chances are that it's still going to affect everything else. So I think the stigma is a big blocker there.
Right. And we didn't really, in the last video, we didn't really touch on Joni Ernst, Senator Joni Ernst, from, I think it's Iowa, I do believe. Yeah, Iowa, Republican representative. She seemed like totally focused on the adversary side of this whole thing. And, I don't know if you noticed that, but every time she spoke, it was all about, China or Russia, our adversaries. And I don't know if we can get to that at any point. I don't know if you can see that.
Well, let's see. These are opening remarks. So
okay, yeah, let's hear that.
Kirsten's were pretty much spot on, I think, to what she wanted.
Yeah.
So
testimony today. I'll keep these remarks very brief so that we have maximum time for your briefing. The recent downing of the Chinese surveillance balloon and 3 other objects underscores the need for domain awareness. Adversaries like China and Russia are working to hold U.S. interests, including our homeland, at risk. That's why your testimony is so important. And I so look forward to a progress update on the establishment of your office. As members know, your office evolved from the Navy-led Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force to the All-Domain Anomalous Resolution Office, known as AARO. Dr. Kirkpatrick, your extensive background in science and technology, research and development, and space makes you well-suited to discuss these emerging challenges. My priority is that we understand the full range of threats posed by our adversaries in all domains. That is what the Joint Force needs to be prepared to fight and win in defense of our nation. This committee needs to know about Chinese or Russian advanced technology programs to exploit our vulnerabilities. And it needs to know whether your office, along with the IC, has detected potential Chinese or Russian capabilities to surveil or attack us. Finally, we need to ensure efficient interagency coordination. Multiple elements of the DoD and IC own a piece of this mission. To add value, AARO's efforts cannot be redundant with others. Thank you again. We look forward to your testimony.
Yeah, and she has a question later on.
Yeah. Now, I can't disagree with what she is saying in any type of way, but I think she's pretty much laser focused that whatever it is people are witnessing is, adversarial instead of, looking at what are the other possibilities of it. That kind of, that's what stands out with me.
Miss Rosen.
Rosen.
Yeah, she was the other senator.
Yeah, can we pull up that part of the video? I need a little refresher on that. Yeah, there she is. Yeah.
All of these other things, like I said, follow up on the authorities, your methodologies, the data collection, they can help us in other ways. But how do you think we can develop a sustainable, affordable response to UAPs where we need to, that will definitely violate our airspace, definitely violate our airspace every chance that they can get, because they're our adversaries. They want this information. So what do you think some cost-effective measures might be that we can get what we need out of that, or take them down, whatever's appropriate, whatever the appropriate measure is?
Pausing here. So this question was, she talked about, we shot down the 3 balloons.
Yeah, and the $500,000 missile.
Yeah, $500,000.
Yeah.
I mean, missiles are expendable assets. We would shoot, shoot bullets
here's,
like for training.
And she's talking about an affordable way. Where else in defense do we worry about affordable ways? We spend more on defense than any other country, several countries combined.
I mean, they do a lot to minimize it. I mean, I agree. I think you don't want to plan that as your method, to shoot these expensive missiles. I'm sure they're talking about it all in all the fighter bars, etc., to using cheaper rockets or guns or something.
Yeah, especially when something is just sitting there. Such an easy target. I mean, that's right.
It's not so easy. I'm not surprised that the missile missed or didn't fuse on the first one. Just because they're fused, you don't want it to be so easy to fuse that it just fuses off anything.
Oh, that's right. I mean, that'd
be very dangerous.
Could cause major problems. I know they waited till it was over the water, which was a smart move.
Well, also, everything in the military, again, is considered, you want to make it adversary proof. So that's why, military grade equipment, it'll be bigger and bulkier and everything, but it should work against, enemy action is the idea. So if your fuse is so easy to set off, then they can exploit that, and set off your fuses, which would also be very bad. So let's see how he answers here.
Okay. Sounds good.
Let's put that.
So that is actually wrapped into the plan order that we're working with Joint Staff to send out. What do the commands need from both a capabilities perspective for kinetic and non-kinetic engagements? What are the response functions of the particular wings or Navy, what have you? And then what authorities do they need? So one of the challenges that we've seen is there's an authorities issues with the owners, operators of those ranges that they need to work through, and we're working that with Joint Staff and OSD. So big picture, we need to do all that. If you want to get down to the specifics for, there are non-kinetic options to engage pretty much everything. Right?
So non-kinetic, again, you're
Whether
not
it's
shooting it, but you're going to, minimize its effects. Or, if it's an electronic system, you'll jam it, right? You're not killing it,
Right.
but you are affecting it. So those are non-kinetic effects.
Right. So do you want to move on to this particular, I think in closing about the open hearings, what they have, are they going to allow the access to the public is basically, I think I find that interesting myself.
Yeah, hugely interesting. Yeah, that was, and I wrote that down as a big, one of my main notes is Gillibrand here asking about this NDA. And I think it really highlights the relationship between Gillibrand and Kirkpatrick. And I was pretty impressed with Gillibrand. I think it seems like she's definitely on the case. So this is where she's asking about the non-disclosure agreements. And also she seems upset that they needed a system to do public discourse. So when people actually have, they want to bring forward testimony, that they have a place to go and actually give the testimony. And it sounds like that doesn't exist. So she asked about it
Electronic
here.
warfare, whether it's laser technology.
That's where this data,
That's
having
right.
the good data collection, predictive
Correct.
analytics, you can
Inform.
make some assumptions and possibilities.
That's right. And we will inform recommendations back to the department on here's what could work, here's what we've seen work, here's what doesn't work.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to just talk a little bit about your logistics, who you report to, how that's going, whether you need different reporting lines. By congressional legislation, your office is administratively located with the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security, but you're not substantively subordinate to the Undersecretary. Rather, you are a direct report to the Deputy Secretary. Are you taking direction directly from the Deputy Secretary? Are you able to meet and brief the Deputy Secretary? Is the Office of USD INS working with you to have the right framework?
So USD INS, I currently report to USD INS until they come up with the plan for how they're going to implement legislation. DOD and DNI are working through that now. I'd have to refer you back to USD INS on what their plan is.
U.S. Defense Intelligence Security. So
Do I need to
doesn't-
update your reporting structure in the next defense bill, or is this something that you think will work its way out, or does it need further clarity?
I think they're planning on coming back to you with an answer on what that plan is. And I think at that time that will inform what you want to do.
Okay, thank you.
That was interesting. So
As you know, Dr. Kirkpatrick, Congress has mandated that your office establish a discoverable and accessible electronic method for potential witnesses of UAP incidents and potential participants in government UAP-related activities to contact your office and tell their stories. Congress also set up a process whereby people subject to non-disclosure agreements, preventing them from disclosing what they may have witnessed or participated in, could tell you what they know without risk of retribution or violation of their NDAs. Have you submitted a public-facing website product for approval to your superiors, and how long has it been under review?
that's that public discourse. So it seems like a pretty pointed question there about.
I have. We submitted the first version of that before Christmas.
Okay, he turned it. He
And
did
do
his
you
homework.
have an estimate from them when they will respond and when you'll have feedback on that?
No, I don't.
Okay. We will author a letter asking for that timely response to your superiors. When do you expect that you will establish a public-facing discoverable an access portal for people to use to contact your office as the law requires?
So I would like to first say thank you all very much for referring the witnesses that you have thus far to us. I appreciate that. We've brought in nearly 24 so far.
That was an amazing statement, when he said that. Were you surprised by that, Martin?
Yeah, because it's something I didn't know before. Yeah, definitely interesting.
Yeah, I
And-
guess we heard the rumors. I'll continue here, see what he says.
Been
Yeah.
very helpful. I'd ask that you continue to do that until we have an approved plan. We have a multi-phased approach for doing that we've been socializing and have submitted for approval sometime. Once that happens, then we should be able to push all that out and get this a little more automated.
Great.
What I would ask, though, is as you all continue to refer to us and refer witnesses to us, I'd appreciate if you do that. Please try to prioritize the ones that you want to do, because we do have a small research staff
Yep.
dealing with that.
Thank you. And
And well, let's see if it goes any further. Let's see our next question here.
then do you have any plans for public engagement that you want to share now that you think it's important that the public knows what the plan is?
So we have a number of public engagement recommendations according to our strategic plan.
In public engagement, does that mean a hearing? Is that what she's
I'm not.
he's referring
it's
to?
Not specific.
That's kind of the impression I got, right? She just asked about the witnesses.
Yeah.
He knows what she's talking about, obviously. And so he says, yeah, thanks for 24 witnesses. Make sure you prioritize the ones that you want to do. And then she says, do you have any public engagements coming out? Do you have any public engagements? And I'm not sure exactly if he mentions it here, but he mentions about the report is that they had to move up the report that was originally due October 31st. The annual report, they had to move it up to June or July.
Yes.
So I just
Right.
feel like this, I get the impression that there's going to be public engagements, meaning these testimonies or witnesses. And I get the feeling that's going to happen in June or July. I don't know. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it seems like. The only thing we can do. I mean, it was so unusual the way this one came up. Like all of a sudden, it just popped up everywhere. Like in just a few days, there's going to be a hearing. And I said on my show the other night, like, "Hey, can anyone help me? Where do I find this? I couldn't find anything." And sure enough, people sent. So one of the things that kind of was extraordinary, a couple of things, is somewhere in there he talks about the government's historical UAP records. And I think that, and if you put that together with the testimonies that they have, I know that Robert Salas from the 1967 Maelstrom, when the UFO shut down the missile warheads, that are independently operated. That's such an extraordinary situation back in 1967. And, what are they saying about that? I would like to know behind closed doors what they would be saying about that in particular.
And
Because that's national security right there. I mean,
they're there. Bob Saul's been going there for years.
Yeah.
24 witnesses, I was trying to think like who's on that list,
Yeah.
Be quite interesting. And then who's going to get to, are we ever going to get to see those testimonies, or is it all going to be, behind closed doors, classified secret hearings?
Yeah. And someone wrote me this, and I don't know if it's an email. They're saying Dr. Kirkpatrick himself is a UFO witness. Did you hear that?
No, I've never heard that.
Well, I couldn't find any information on that. It's just
no, I mean, he seems like a skeptic.
Yeah.
But scientific skeptic. I mean, I'm reasonably happy with him so far. I'm happy he's out there. He seems like he's going to do the scientific work to make it happen. And that's what we want, right? I mean, we can't be expecting them to give us UFO unless it's a guaranteed certainty, right? At least this guy, right? If there is UFOs in the government, then it's it is so deep that he's not going to just know about it. He's not going to be briefed on it. So
yeah, which always seems to bring us back to square one when it comes to things like this. One of the things he mentions, he casually says, or the extreme theories of extraterrestrials. I mean, I don't think it's such an extreme theory when the laws are defying. I mean, physics laws are defied, in a lot of these cases. But he does say we don't have any credible evidence. So I guess you can use that as, maybe they don't have any hard data. But I wouldn't call it extreme myself. I would just consider one of the theories. Doesn't have to be the extreme theory, but I guess that goes back to the stigma again, once again. In general.
Yeah, I think without a doubt. She mentioned it at the beginning. The stigma is still an issue.
Yeah, I think it is. And the other thing I found really interesting, somewhere along the line, he mentions that there may be a possibility to have a smartly crowdsourced evidence. But I think that would be opening the door. They have to very carefully open the door because there's going to be the floodgates.
That's right. He did mention that right at the end, didn't he?
Yeah. I don't know if there's any other part of this you want to play.
Those are the main sections. I covered the whole hearings on my channel.
Yeah.
Already, just if people want to watch through the beginning, actually, I missed, so I wanted to play it here. But I thought, Kirsten Gillibrand, I was impressed by her. She seems like she's on board, knows she's got this notebook. I mean, I think that's who you want. I think we want. Yeah, I'm happy. Her and other senators like her.
Yeah.
Keeping track of this. She seems like she's on top of it. So
right. I noticed the handwritten notebook there too.
Yeah. Can we read? I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, I guess we could call this more or less a wrap. Overall, like as one in closing, overall, I've had a lot of people very disappointed in, the situation of this hearing, and just saying, it's more of the same, blurring the lines and all that. I don't know. What is your? I heard someone say that they did not disappoint us to disappoint. But I mean, I think a lot of people that may be watching this may think, oh, we want to know evidence of extraterrestrial. I think we just have to be patient with this, and I think it's better than not having anything. I mean,
they did not deliver anything like this in the first hearing. The first hearing was, hey, this is a joke. We don't know why we're here. Yeah, we're doing what you wanted. So for me, I've seen a total turnaround. This hearing was not like the last one. The last one was kind of a dog and pony show, and this one was more of, I liked it. It was in a smaller room. Here's our questions. Why aren't you, fully funded? Why haven't you created the public Discord option that we said you would? What are the issues? And he said, hey, I turned in my homework, and they just haven't let me, they haven't approved it. So it seems like they're kind of getting, I don't have much experience. I haven't been in this game for that long, but they showed a full video,
Yeah. No, I like this video. I think it's really interesting. It doesn't mean that, it's extraterrestrial. It's just a great video that we'll be seeing. We're all getting tired of looking at the gimbal over and over again.
I mean, for me, I can analyze this, I have something to work with. Like there's some data. That idea you had is not so bad, is there a way to maybe nail it down? He says it's impossible, but at least we can try. Like we have something to try with. And we didn't even talk about the next video, which was this one.
Oh yeah. And it's explained, but it does look pretty extraordinary when you're watching it. He's going to play. Go ahead and play run that one. This was a, I would think they would see the transponder right off the bat and just, say, oh, well, yeah, that's what that was.
Yeah,
You know,
so
I mean,
South Asia UAP observed with apparent wake, likely resolved as commercial airliner and video compression artifact. So this is what they say it's resolved at.
yeah.
And he
I mean, I
says
think
here that was the same as the Baghdad Phantom UAP. It had these kind of
signatures.
yeah, the same structure behind it, and so that's
Hmm.
what made me think it was also a sensor. If you look here, it may be tough to see, but you can actually see there's little gaps, but
Huh.
they're just the size. They're the same size as the actual object itself. So that's
Oh,
why
yeah.
it does seem like it feels like a sensor artifact.
Mm-hmm.
And
Interesting.
maybe I can find if we look at the Baghdad Phantom real quick.
And you know, you're talking earlier about the filters. You know, they changed filters, or now, you know, they have the more data they get now from, they're seeing things that they didn't see before because of the changing of the filters. And the FLIR videos are, and you know, the more new equipment it seems that they have, the more that they see, basically.
Yeah, this is from Jeremy Corbell's new Weaponized podcast. Oh,
Yeah.
actually, this is from his older channel. But yeah, let me.
This object flew under controlled flight with intelligent control
Oh, yeah.
across the screen from left to right.
Yeah, so you see here, so this is the Baghdad Phantom UAP,
Yeah.
which was cool. It was a video as well, and you know, to me, it looks like a missile or some sort of projectile. You know, it looks like a cruise missile to me.
You know, at first glance and uneducated glance, it looks cigar shaped, like so many people talk about UFOs as well. You know, but what it is.
That's true. Yeah, I guess it just longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my first impression. I didn't get the impression it was a UAP, but yeah, it's too close to missiles. But what I guess why I brought it up, the point is what you'll see here is that has the same kind of striations. You see, if there's actually, yeah, you see there's a little, and I can't see them here.
I'm not sure where he's getting these
missiles. It's like little copy paste of this object. Copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. If you see,
yeah, I'm not sure where
that's why they showed that one in particular. Because this one came out and they wanted to show that they could prove it.
That this object flew.
Yeah, you see here, it's easier to see here.
I see it really clearly.
Yeah, really clearly, right? And that did look weird to me because it was some sort of trail, some sort of wake trail or something. But they say it's a sensor artifact, is what that's what Kirkpatrick says.
Now, if this was some type of missile, wouldn't they know that somehow, or who released that, and how did Jeremy get a hold of it? That's the this has happened a few times. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is quite interesting. So this one was an interesting one, and I think they released it because of that Baghdad Phantom.
I get it. Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, Chris, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure. And again, if you're watching this first, stop and then jump. Well, if you got this far, then you've watched the whole thing. But don't forget to watch the first part over at Chris's channel, and the link will be below. Thank you so much, Chris.
No, thanks. Yeah. Thanks, Martin. Thanks for the collab. I thought it was fun and makes it more interesting.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.